Hi, my name's Claire. I'm part of the Journalism, Innovation and Leadership team at the University of Central Lancashire. This video is an introduction to the literature review and this rather large piece in the puzzle, which is identifying your knowledge of a specific topic. We talked about this a little bit in one of the other videos. It is really important that you are able to demonstrate a wide range of insights, existing knowledge that will be brought in from both grey literature and academic literature. Now, grey literature is all of the things that are in effect industry-based studies, whereas academic literature, scholarly work, has been usually peer-reviewed, is much slower, takes 2 or 3 years usually to publish, and unfortunately a lot of it is not open access, which is a real shame, but definitely part of the beauty of being on a master's level programme is you do have access to that additional level of information. So a reminder that the literature review is different from an annotated bibliography. An annotated bibliography, however, is a good place to start. What that means is you take a piece of reading that you want to do, you want to look at, a study perhaps, you make notes on it, you expand some points of reference for yourself, perhaps a summary of the article, a critique of it, an evaluation of it. And it's a good thing to start doing. So when you start reading, definitely have in mind to think always, what is the main argument of what you're reading of the person's work? What evidence have they brought in? What concepts or theories or models have they used? What was the methodology and what were the methods? And what were their findings? And how relevant is it to your research? I'm going to talk a little bit about distance, but make a note of whether or not you thought something was really pertinent to your study and a core piece of work, or whether it's just something that's on the periphery. What's the contribution to the field of this particular piece? And what is the contribution to the major debates? So if you always think of those elements when you're reading something, it will really help. Now, in terms of keeping track of all of that, we talk about our study skills, but you do need to be logging all of this on something like RefWorks or Zotero. And keep a running note of that. And I would also highly recommend maybe starting an interactive tool like Mural or Miro, where you can actually group some of these works together, but not in a static way, and you can really cluster them in different ways. So have those things in mind. In order to achieve the literature review, you need to improve your kind of reading skills and your referencing and your annotations of that. So with that approach in mind, what is the literature review? Well, we talked about how at the level of masters, you need to really show that you have knowledge and command over a subject. And the literature review is a really big part of that. It shows that you can evaluate what's out there already, that you can situate your own question and your own inquiry within that to establish the gap that you are filling. It's really helpful to explore and orientate the reader around the different fields of reading and work that you've come across. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about having a position on this literature, which is really, really important. But certainly a good literature review for me is where I can almost sit back with a cup of coffee, feel like I am in really safe hands, and you take me through very systematically a sense of who are the key authors, what are the key areas that have been looked at? How has the literature and the thinking on your subject evolved over time? And who are the key authors? These are some of the elements that make the reader of your masters feel more assured by what it is you're doing. So there's some key ways to look at your literature. You want to almost mirror the structure of your masters. So first of all, we're talking about the actual context. So you're contextualizing the gap of your study around it. It shows the issues of importance, the current state of the knowledge. Where is it sketchy? Where are there gaps? Where are there issues that remain unresolved? Or where is it particularly widely accepted? So I want to know a little bit more about the context. I also want to know about the theories in the literature. So is there a particular concept, model, framework, theory that has been widely used, whereas perhaps there's newer ones that are coming in that only a few scholars have used, that shows perhaps a new avenue for inquiry? What's within the literature? What types of methods and methodologies? What's the normal approach for answering questions in your field, and what's perhaps quite a different way of approaching it? Give me some sense of the types of methods and methodologies that are used. Which ones are being borrowed from different fields? And then there's a question of showing distance. So what's really important with the literature review, and this is why I would advocate for the type of mural or Miro brainstorming tool, because what you want to be able to show from the literature is which parts are very pertinent, are very close. Perhaps you might find 3 or 4 studies that are absolutely really, really close to what it is you're looking at. But then there might be, 10 or 15 studies that are on the periphery. So what is the distance between these different bodies of work? All of this allows you to carve out a space for your masters and really sell that idea and of the scale of your contribution in the situating of your work in the field. So the types of phrases that you'll find yourself using when you start to write up your literature review, it should certainly be like a river, leading to a pinnacle where you're in effect moving the reader to readiness to accept your study. So you're saying, these things are happening and these are the gaps, and this is why my study is so important. So you might find yourself talking about things like this is a dominant field starting in 1995, led by the study from this person on this topic. From there, connections between these two fields began, perhaps in the late 2020s. You might say the field of, for example, user gratification is very advanced in news markets in the Western world, but has yet to be applied in broad academic studies in the sub-Saharan African situation. You might want to identify that Mills is the leading author on innovation methodologies in journalism. Their study on this particular aspect found this and was then taken up by these 3 authors who extended the work to do this and that. So those are the types of phrases that you might use. You can also quote from particular studies, especially in their recommendations part. Make a note when you're reading if an author says, there is no panacea for media development, media sustainability, and sustainable journalism, and no universally applicable solution. That was a quote from Robert Pickard from 2017. And I would have used that as a way to say, we don't have, a solution for the media sustainability, and therefore ongoing work to further understand journalism sustainability is particularly pertinent. You might talk about a research gap that exists at the intersection of 2 discussions. And then you might say, addressing this research gap, the central inquiry of my study here asks, in what way this and this happen? So rather than approaching it from the issue of perhaps individual firm level, we're going to look at it from this level. So these are the types of styles of writing that you can do. But overall tips for your literature review: you're trying to demonstrate familiarity with your chosen field. You're trying to showcase the central issues that shape the field. You should definitely take a critical take on the existing research in your field, not just describe it. Which bits are strong? Which bits are weak? Offer insightful interpretation and evaluation of what you've read. Synthesize the pieces of work together to say that these particular group look at this particular group look at that. Who are the main authors? And make sure you include the evolution of particular definitions, theories, important topics, and it'll make you seem very, very legitimate in your study.